stream up?
Hi, you muted, by the way, so you know. If you're saying words, you can't hear you. Set are we watching? Well, hello and welcome everyone to Original Message Deleted. Welcome everyone. Hope everyone's have a really good Friday afternoon. I am Topic, joined by Corviday, and for you today, our first game is going to be After School Sweets Club, very long name for no reason, versus Shiv Strats. And Corviday, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm excited. I'm always excited for OMD. It's really a great gimmick tourney. Um, I'd be playing it in myself if I wasn't, if there were some scheduling conflicts. But enough about me. We've got an exciting match on our hands, and I am looking forward to it.
I, as well as both these teams are ready and raring to go. Let's see how we got here. After School Club is going to be in the yellow there with a very interesting comp as well on the other side. Shiv Strats again, because I is going to have to be very well as both teams, of course, part of the gimmick is going to keep that Anarchy and that Forge Pro, but a couple switches up. We're going to see a Dynamo Roller for their cooler weapon for the side of After School. Very interesting bit there, especially on a map such as Undertale Spillway itself, where you really can use that Dynamo Flick here. You can kind of trap opponents onto one side of the map, and on the other side of Shiv Strats, going with that double backliner comp is very interesting. A lot of range, a lot of kind of choking down ability there.
Yeah. The bombs coming out from... sorry. The bombs are turning out to be pretty massive, as they almost always are in Rainmaker, but we're seeing some huge special plays coming out.
Huge special plays turn into a very huge lead for Shiv Strats, getting it down to 24, along with picking that first barrier is very, very important for them, but unfortunately, they're not going to go away just yet. But this Dynamo Roller is going to do a lot of damage, making sure that nothing can get through. We're going to see a rebound coming out for After School Sweets Club, try to neutralize that threat of Shiv Strats, but so far Shiv Strats doing whatever they can to just stay in the base of After School, but unfortunately Jump Time's gonna get one, going to get two, looking for even more. Unfortunately not gonna get any more, so that does enough to give After School Sweets enough time to kind of recollect themselves and kind of refocus, because now they have a very, very large hill to climb here.
They do, and especially so with the way that After School Sweets Club is getting traded back into mid. They have so much resources that they had to use just to stop this push. And now it's really going to be difficult as Shiv Strats gets another push going.
Another push may be getting started. Miku with the Booyah Bomb in a very, very precarious situation. Unfortunately, using it just to get themselves out. The Dynamo is going to be there, unable to get the kill. Miku is keeping themselves alive. Shiv Strats are going. Kirkland's going to go down as well. Two members are going to go down for Shiv Strats once again, and for After School Sweets. But Shiv Strats are doing basically whatever they can here, moving around really well. They're just making sure that After School Club cannot get a good sustained push, and doing a really good job of it as we're halfway through this game, and they've only just now gotten on the board by only 4 points, but an opportunity is presenting itself.
Unfortunately, the two specials on the side of Shiv Strats are looking to lock this push down before it even gets started, especially that splashdown, which doesn't get a lot of value, but does really disrupt the things. Does look like After School Sweets Club does get their push started. This could be the lead right here, right now. And it is.
Uh-oh. It's not. Ooh, just close. Not
oh,
quite.
That is. Oh. Oh, this map is always swingy. You love to see this. Unless, of course, you are, Shiv Strats, in which case you're not. Oh my god! We didn't even see what happened.
I believe what happened there, a member of Shiv Strats was still there, still in the ink, still just waiting for After School Club to kind of look the other way, and it just worked out for them. Actually, no, scratch that. Other way around. After School Club won that game, so they were just hiding there, and it just worked out apparently. So a very back and forth game number one. You know, you saw Shift Strats get that first really big push down to, I believe it was 28, I want to say. And then After School Sweets Club, they really had to fight back. They really had to kind of persist throughout to kind of keep themselves in the game. And unfortunately, for Shift Strats, I mean, they just kind of broke down. They cracked under pressure, I would say, and they just let the floodgates go, and After School Club took that and just ran with it. But now, you know, not as fast of a map mode as we're gonna go game number 2, Clan Blitz on Museum de Alfonsino, a map mode where you don't necessarily have to, I don't say don't have to play quick, but you don't have to be as upfront as in Rainmaker.
Yeah. Rainmaker Undertow, a very snowbally map mode, very difficult mid, and with those comps of mostly mid lines and back lines, it very much lends itself to exaggerate that stally mid, snowbally push, regular gameplay from that map. So we're going to be seeing another slightly stally map, but Clan Blitz Museum is nothing at all like Undertow. It's a very, very different ballgame.
Yeah, and to add on to that, I do believe that the Dynamo Roller for After School Suites is very important here, because that can definitely lock down the plat area. Since, you know, the biggest way to get onto plat is, of course, through that little ramp. So if you have your Dynamo Roller there, you can either A, have it on your spinner and just rain down just globs and globs of ink, or you can have it on the mix spinner and provide that really solid defense. But we're gonna have to see what these teams come up with, as After School Sweets Club going with a bit of very different comp, very upfront, very aggressive on the side of Shift Strats. Again, another very different comp, both with the mini Zimmy, very underrated weapon there. But for After School Sweets Club, a very in-your-face, very aggressive, very go type of comp. And you know what? I'm here for it.
Yeah, in this specific game, all weapons are required to be either 170 or 180p, and the Zimmy is a required pick. So, we're going to be seeing a lot of specials this game, and a lot of bubbles to maintain that space those specials are going to get.
Yeah, and I think I like the
already seeing a bubble far ahead.
Yeah, kind of what Jalfi and what After School, unfortunately, they were an inch.
No!
Oh no, they missed it, but they got
Was that 2 missed power clams? Okay, alright, they brought it back. That was... Oh... I would have never lived that down.
I mean, listen,
I've done that many times before.
Listen, it happens, you gotta move on, and they moved on really well, as now After School Sweets Club are still there. I think I like the dynamics of how both these teams built their comp. As in After School Sweets Club, they have a very aggressive kind of use that mini as that backliner type of weapon, and so far it's working out really well for them, as they're gonna score once again. Jalfi with the bubbles going for Miku here. They're not gonna win that 1v1, but unfortunately for Shift Strats, more clans are gonna go in there, so that will be an even bigger push. Unfortunately, what that as well. So now we can see kind of the expertise or the strength of Shift Strats comp, where it's very paint oriented. You have the pro, you have the junior, you have the squelcher that kind of support the mini and just give it so much room to work with, so much paint, so much just area that it can go around. But unfortunately, that won't do a whole lot if you're gonna keep being put on your back foot here.
I will say, in these kinds of tournaments, it always seems like the team that finds the more aggressive comp to play has the upper hand. You see the double bubble, very midline, very almost backline focused comp from Shift Strats, and while they're able to hold a lot of ground, they're just constantly having to answer with very unusual circumstance, an extremely aggressive push from After School Sweets Club, and just giving yourself more chances by playing this more aggressive comp tends to be a very good thing to try to do in these specific weapon comp required tourneys. And speaking of which, a push is started. This might be the end of the game, and it is, as After School Sweets Club closes out with another blazing push, using that Dapple, using that cooler, and just forcing their way in with the swoosh.
I mean, the best analogy I could put is that After School Sweets Club was a truck driver and Shift Stratch was a speed bump, and they didn't care how far up they went. They were going pedal to the metal and just going. But unfortunately for Shift Stratch, they just couldn't handle the speed at which After School Sweets Club kind of moved with. So that kind of was their Achilles heel per se, where it was very hard for them to keep up. That's like they really struggled because their comp, it lacked those kind of aggressors, it lacked those engagers, it lacked those type of weapons or specials that could really be the first ones in. So unfortunately, they just kind of got ran over by, like you said, the Dapple Dualies and the cooler. But thankfully for Shift Stratch, this is going to be a play all three, so maybe they have a chance to, boost their record a little bit as we go to game number 3, which is going to be Splat Zones on Maki Resort.
And for this comp, we will have a required Dually Squelchers, Octobrush Nouveau, and Splatana Stamper Nouveau, including the final weapon as a required hammer weapon. A very given comp. There's not a lot of, actually, only one choice the teams really get to make, so we're really just going to see who figures out how to play this given comp better in this final match.
Yeah, well, I could see, well, of course, you can go double wiper. That could be very helpful. You can go up with the sploosh, you can go with L3, you can go with, I don't think a ruler has hammer.
If you want a backline, you could play a Wellstring, really give yourself some stability.
I think I could see Wellstring because, one, this is Wellstring's best mode, and hammer just kind of allows you to just have uncontested paint for as long as you want it. But we're gonna see here, After School Sweets are looking to close out the 3-0. Shift Stratch looking to at least salvage a little bit of anything positive here as we go to game number 3. Z1 opting with, of course, the L3D, the other team opting for the Wellstring. So hey, we called it.
And there we go. I'm going to be interested in seeing how these Octobrushes play. Of course, Octobrush Nouveau is a support weapon a lot of the time. However, if it can get in a good position, it can be, especially in such a weird and wonky setting, a very strong front line, as we've just seen, with one Octobrush absolutely blowing open this push.
Yeah, this push for Shift Stratch is looking good, but can they sustain it is the real question here, because After School Club is going to be looking to get the opportunities here. We see Perculus does have the game match ready, tries to throw right away, gets one, and that's the opening that they need, and they're taking it and going. Another one's going to go down, no Wellstring. The other two are trapped on the top snipe section there. They're going to be forced out. Another member is going to go down there, so just like that, at the flip of a switch, it's going to be After School Snack Club just in complete control, just getting the members of Shift Stratch staggered and keeping them away from the zone. That's going to be the lead. That's going to be the waddle dropping as well, so that's going to be even harder for them to get back in here.
We're seeing once again that brush coming in, but with the water down, there's so much more space for this Dually Squelchers to skirmish, and so much more room to... Oh my goodness, somehow Shift Stratch has just neutralized the zone, buying themselves so much more time. However, they still do not have any strong control over mid.
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest issue there. Well, yes, they did get zone. They didn't have a good way to keep zone. So you saw it just flipped right away. And you see they try to go in one by one. They just went down 4 members of the lead right. It's going to be on the side of Shift Stratch there. So once again, After School Snacks Club being able to do what they do best and just put on the pressure, keep this aggressive mindset, keep this aggressive playstyle. And so far, it's working out, as we're going to see member of Shift Stratch fall directly into the jaws of After School Snack Club as 15 ticks remaining here. So right now it's just desperation heave. Just go into zone. But Joust is going to be there, cause a bit of distraction. 3, 2, 1. game, and that will do it. After School Snack Club will take a very, very dominant game number 3 and will take the set in a sweep.
I will say once again, After School Sweets Club's decision to run a more aggressive version of the comp has paid off. They were able to leverage their aggressive tools more in the early game to maintain and grow their lead, and then just use the tools that both teams had to just hold.
Yeah, just the fact that After School Snacks Club or Sweets Club, sorry, had the ability to just really put their foot on the gas, really get shift shafts off balance is kind of what was necessary. You saw that once they got in, once they got control, it was very, very, and I mean very hard for shift shafts to do basically anything that entire game. But with that, that'll be the end of round number 1 over here at Original Message Deleted. So, but don't go anywhere because we'll be back with round 2 and more coming at you after this very short break.
Alright, sick. and welcome back to Original Message Deleted. We're going to be getting right into round 2 pretty soon. And we're going to be seeing some more interesting comps, some more interesting gameplay. We're going to be seeing about the other half of the tournament. There's going to be one team who we've not seen on stream after this. So we should be getting a good idea of everyone who's playing.
We are, and actually game number 1 is going to be on Tower Control Hagglefish with a very, very interesting requirements for your comp. So the required weapons are going to be Aerospray RG, which is, I believe, the gold one with Booyah Bomb. So it makes sense for Tower. Also, Neo's Sploosh-O-Matic whales also can be very effective at getting your opponents off tower, but the other 2 weapons, they must have wave. That is very interesting because there's a lot you can do with that.
There is a lot you can do with that. There's also a lot of Wavebreaker weapons that aren't very good at supplementing the fighting of these 2 special spamming short-range shooters. So we'll have to see what weapons these teams decide to pick to make up for this unusual restriction, of course, as always.
Yeah, well, I think the first 2 weapons that pop into my head, at least when I think of Wavebreaker, is 1, Heavy Edit, or not Heavy Edit, V Heavy. That could be very good at having that sustained backliner, having that very good anchor kind of weapon, and the Dually Sculptures, the vanilla Dually Sculptures.
Oh, the Dually Sculptures that we did just see, yes. Yeah. One that actually pops into my mind, being Tower Control Haggle, is a range blaster. I would be very surprised if at least one team did not pull out that very strong fighting tool, especially against the small pool of weapons that is available to both teams.
Yeah, I think I would also be very surprised if we don't see a range blaster, mainly because, of course, this is Tower Control. This is going to be the mode where the blaster itself can be at its most effective, mainly because not only can you affect tower, range blaster also has the ability to hit above the tent. It has the ability to hit above or hit on top of that top right side, right above that second checkpoint. So it just provides a lot of flexibility with how you want to approach your offense or even defense, and with the restrictions of having 2 weapons that are very short range, paint heavy, you kind of, I don't want to say you neutralize the weaknesses of the range blaster, but you do make it a lot less apparent that this weapon can barely pay for itself.
I will say one last weapon for consideration is that E-Leader, ever present on these kinds of very long sideline maps. However, with these 2 required weapons, both spamming specials that are going to be very good at displacing this leader, it's going to be hard to make it work. However, if it does work, dear God help them if it does work.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of, are you running into a Charger 1 trick? Because if you are, they're gonna play whack-a-mole the entire time, right? I do think
we've been seeing a bit of a unfortunate recession of Chargers as Pencil is more and more and more the staple. But those leader players, they're hiding among us. They want to hurt people with it.
Yeah, there are a lot of good options, not to mention there's also the option of the custom Wellstring with Wavebreaker that could be very helpful, that could be very useful. You know, a lot of that paint where you can really cover, especially mid, and when you're pushing, cover the ramp or get up to the, again, that top right side can cover that with the jump shots. So that'd be very helpful. Also, very underrated one, Dreadringer D. Not the not the best hit, I will say, but here where you do have a very good paint, your paint output is insane just because you are a Dreadringer. So that is very, very, very helpful. Also Squid Beacons.
It is a good one with good paint, yes. We do already have some beacons on the team with the Neo Sploosh. But if you want that redundancy, if you just want all that paint, I guess Dread D works.
Well, not only is there the redundancy, but also the fact that if, let's say you do, because you're not gonna have cooler, right? That's a given with this. So having that ability to, especially with like one sub of sub power up for the beacon user, that does allow you to get back in the fight really quickly. So I could genuinely see them going with all quick respawn on the Neo Splash and the Aero Spray, or just Neo Sploosh. I'm sorry, the Neo Sploosh or the Aero Spray, and just running at the opponents with all that quick respawn, with all the sub power up. It's gonna be very, very hard to stop that, in my opinion, if they can pull it.
Especially with all that paint, yes. I will say though, one weapon we've already talked about that might be a good check to that is maybe that Wellstring with that point sensor. Against these short-range weapons without real tools to threaten out of range, keeping them located might really lock down any sort of aggressive or sharking plays that these short-range weapons might want to be making, as opposed to just farming their specials, because, you know, as we've seen in the previous games, splooshes work very well against people who aren't used to their weapons.
I don't want to say it naturally counters sharking the double wave break, because that's not necessarily true, but it does kind of de-incentivize you just running forward, because you know that you're gonna have to your hiding spot per se is gonna be at least a little bit exposed, because you know you have to jump out of the way or else they get damage on you.
Oh, and there it is. The game is starting.
And the game is starting all out in
yellow.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
An
no.
Ethereal Moon is
Oh,
gonna
no.
be in the purple. There it is.
Oh, wait a minute. I think there's been a mistake. It seems that Ethereal Moon has mistakenly picked too many Wavebreaker weapons and missed the required Neo Sploosh. So that should be Neo Sploosh for C Junior should be a very easy fix to just get this match back up and running. But as we saw, we do indeed have that leader alongside that Dually Squelchers, really to compromise between that strong holding power and supporting the fighting of these two shorter range weapons.
Now, after that little preview, if I were a member of Ethereal Moon, my first thought, harass the E-leader. Make them uncomfortable. Make them move.
Yes.
Don't let them get a shot off, because if they do, now I don't know these players coming from experience. I don't know what their experience is with these weapons, if they're used to them, if they're not. But if the charger for All Out is a good shot, then it could be a very, very short game.
Especially with the comp that Ethereal Moon is planning on running. Very chip damaged focused with the Wellstring and the Range Blaster. I think a very good combination. Gonna make that 3 fighting weapon of the Dually Squelcher and the two short-range shooters on the side of All Out have a very hard time living, but the leader's gonna make the Wellstring and all of the members of Ethereal Moon have a very hard time existing, so...
There we are. Unfortunately for Ethereal Moon, I believe that is also not another weapon comp, because that is two Splooshamatics. You know?
It seems it might be being played out.
Nope.
Alright. Well... I guess stuff like this happens.
Yeah. So this is going to be a quick PSA to all of our competitors out there, whether you're in the tourney itself, any tournament for that fact, whether you're in the stream watching us, read the rules.
Read the rules, please.
Yes, it makes our lives easier, it makes the TOs behind the scenes lives easier. Reading the rules, very important. I know it could be a bit of a drag. Just in case, or it could be a bit of a drag getting through all of them. If you do multiple tourneys a week, or like if you do a bunch a month, it could be a dragging through all of those. But I promise, especially for like gimmick tournaments like this, where you do have very specific requirements for your weapons, your specials, and all that stuff, reading the rules does make sure that you are in line and you are good to go. Yeah, but I think going back to a bit of the gameplay side for Ethereal Moon, here, like I said earlier, the main goal is to, again, make sure that the the E-Leader is uncomfortable. You gotta make sure that they cannot sit in one place. You gotta make sure that they are, out of, not all... They're not able to be that beacon that their team needs. But on the other hand, if you are all out, if you're on their side, I think the biggest tool or the biggest help to you is the fact that you need to control the paint output, because you saw they have a Wellstring. Now, E-Leader Wellstring, while E-Leader might beat Wellstring head to head, if the Wellstring has paint and it can just move around, then that is not going to happen. You're not going to get a good shot off, because I think I can speak for both of us, is if we see a Charger's glare, we are getting out of there like it's yesterday.
With the angles that a Wellstring can hit, it's not easy. Easy isn't the word, but it's possible to spend the entire game living outside of leader sightlines and just playing for only the rest of your team. However, it will make pushing more difficult, but with the already included tools of the Booyah Bomb spam, the laser spam, it should be entirely possible to just lock down the leader and give space for this Wellstring to deal and harass the rest of this team.
Well, I do partly agree that it makes parts of pushing easier. I would say that the restrictions that we have here, it's mainly better for defense, in the fact that you have GG Booyah, right? Everyone knows GG Booyah. They'll be a bomb, member on tower, game's over, shake my hand, GG go next, right? But also you have the Killer Whale, which can kind of combo into each other, where you pop Killer Whale to first get everyone off tower, you pop Booyah Bomb to where you think they're gonna go, they go into the Booyah Bomb, done. So I do think that both these weapons, while they can be used on offense to some degree, I don't want to say it's not good, but what I am going to say is that it's going to be a lot more difficult to push than it is to defend, especially getting past.
I hear you. It is an uphill battle.
Yeah, especially getting past that second checkpoint, which is the real choke point of this map. Because once you get past second checkpoint, it's not. I won't say it's the red carpet laid out for you, but it is a lot easier than going from first to second.
Oh, absolutely. Having all that high ground makes a huge difference as you're riding through into their spawn. And if I think the main difference maker here is going to be if this range blaster that we may or may not see is going to be leveraged to force that snowball that this map mode so often becomes. However, given these comps, it might just stay locked in mid.
I could see that. Again, I think it depends on which team can get the opposing backliner uncomfortable. If they're able to do that, then it's kind of just not easy, but because okay, how do I explain? The backliner, I'm sure everyone knows, is like your living beacon. It gives you it has the longest sight lines, it has the most it could see basically everything, right? So if you are able to get their backliner down, you kind of disorganize the team. You kind of make it so that they can't really aggress the way they might want to, because if they do aggress and it doesn't work out for you, well, it's going to take them a lot longer to get back into those spots. It's going to take them a lot longer to kind of reorganize themselves. So again, I think it's a battle of the backlines, especially on the map especially on like a kind of very straight and narrow map where there's not a lot of surprises, where there's not a lot of, secrets about where you're gonna go. I think it's a matter of which team can get their I don't want to say captain, their team captain, who's choose the backliner, get them into place first.
I definitely agree. I think this is going to be all about positioning, and unfortunately, after all of that comp confusion, we did also have a lobby explosion. So it's going to be just a little bit longer before the game gets up and running.
It's going to be a little bit longer, but while we have a little bit downtime, we can kind of discuss the future match that we're going to see, especially game number 2. After this one, which is going to be on Clam Blitz Inkla Art Academy, and this one, your comp kind of decided for you already. You got Classic Squiffer, you got V-Tent, you got 96 Scout Deco. Make it work.
This is a very... Well, actually, here's the thing. I was going to say it's a bit of a defensive comp, but really, with all due respect to people who play these are weapons you play stupid. If you're playing a Squiffer, you're not generally trying to lock down. You're saying, watch me do the 6th spin, and then seeing if you get your Twitter clip. And I think quite a few of these weapons very much lend themselves to this aggro, midline, sustained push playstyle, and I think it's a really interesting decision what you decide to lean into with this final pick.
Okay, well, whenever I see Classic Squiffer or Squiffer in general, I think of that one Black Ops 2 clip, or that one mod. You know what I'm talking about? That one Modern Warfare 2 clip on High Rise, where he hits the 360 no scope with a knife. You know what I'm talking about? The one I'm talking about?
I think I might. Yeah, I think I might.
Some of you do. Yeah.
I think yeah.
Every time I think of that, every time I think of a Squiffer, I always think of anytime I think of a Squiffer player, I think of that guy, because Squiffer players, no offense to Squiffer players, but they are very reckless to get the clip. Like they will
absolutely.
They will do whatever it takes to get a funny Twitter clip. And you know what? I'm here for it. If I can see a sick 360 no scope snipe and you hit it, hey, hats off. Congratulations. You won the Twitter war for today.
Yeah, and I think we can actually see that with a couple of these other weapons. 96 Deco, not quite as crazy clip farmy, but it's still this very powerful weapon that tends to fight all at once, going for huge tears. Tents trying to get into melee range can make a huge hole into the rest of the comp. And I think we're just going to see which team is able to either leverage some sort of huge advantage with their fourth weapon or just pop off harder more often.
And also, don't forget that this is the vanilla tent with vacuum, so vac cheese is also a thing, so I could see that. I believe this is the one with Kraken. Let me double check. Yes, it is. This is 96.
Yes, this is the 96 with Kraken, yes.
So I could see something very devious happening where you have the tent shield, the vacuum, a Kraken, and a bubble all on the enemy plat. Get out of here. That you're scoring. If a team does that and doesn't score more than 40 points, that's a skill issue.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we're not really going to be able to see that, as we are apparently going straight to Game 3 with a Rainmaker Scorched Gorge with a Splatana Wiper Deco and a Snipe Rider 5B.
Yeah, looks like Ethereal Moon did actually win both of those games. So we're gonna go straight to the least restrictive of the three. Like you said, it only requires you to have a Wiper Deco, which I like personally. I think it's very decent. I would say it's not terrible. I mean, again, you do have missiles, which can be very good at organizing the players. A Splatoon 2 Classic as well. You do have beacons as well, so you can have some little sneaky plays. Also, you have Snipe Rider, not the good one, the mid one with I believe it has rain, right? Is it rain? I want to say
wall rain. Yes, wall and rain. Much more of a Brine Water Zones pick than a Scorch Rainmaker pick. But I've known Pens who were crazy enough to try to play it aggressively, so maybe we'll see something insane here. I'll hold my tongue a little bit as a Wiper main about my opinion on Wiper Deco. But I personally...
No, speak. You have the floor. You have the floor.
I call it, well... in my house, we call it the diaper. It's not good. I think it's bad. I have no high opinions of it. If you're not running Torp on your Wiper, I think you are allowing yourself to have less fun. Okay, I'm sorry. I love my Torpedo. I have a deep resentment towards the kit that I cannot control. I try.
I feel that. I played Crapid, Cancer Rapid, for those of you who don't know, in Splatoon 2 that had Torp Baller, one of my favorite weapons in the game. The Torp bounces were very funny. In this game too, I played Rapid Blaster Deco. Torp Jetpack, very good, very funny. I like Torpedo. But I think what the Wiper Deco offers, what it lacks in aggressiveness, it lacks in, I don't want to say quite safety, but it does really allow you to... It allows your other teammates to go in, because you're taking more of a back role, like more of a backseat player.
It does allow you to play for your team and play much more supportive, and I am honestly quite selfish, so I do not enjoy doing that. But just the fighting ability of a Wiper, as much as I love the weapon, is very, very limited when put in a bad situation. And so, as a Wiper Deco, you just have to keep making sure you stay out of these bad situations.
are going to see All Out going all out indeed, as they're going with the Tetra Dualies and a splatter shot for that very aggressive start. See what they can do with that. So far, 2 members of the Moon are going to go down there. 1 member from All Out going down as well, but you do see that Ringsider at the ready. The ST button is ready to go at any moment, popping in, but unfortunately they will get canceled. So no Ringsider for you for giving Ethereal Moon the opportunity here to get something going. Astro with a very nice one-shot there, giving Ethereal Moon the space to work with.
Astro has been working on this 10. I'm sure he was very excited to pull it out last game, and we are excited to see what he's got with it. Looks very... Oh, that is so unfortunate. I think this is my fault. I was talking so bad about the Wiper Deco, and now look what's happened.
Hey, Karma always comes back. That's All Out and do what they want to do and get the full for. Unfortunately, 1 member is going to go down. 2 members on both sides are going to go down, forcing the Rainmakers to stay back, not be aggressive, not cause too much trouble here. They definitely see an opening as they're ready. They're going to see it. They're going to take it, and they're going to execute it properly, getting the dunk and get 1 point behind of Ethereal Moon here. Be back there, but the Rainmaker explosion goes around the wall. All Out are going. The red carpet being laid out here, and they're gonna get all the way to 9 points remaining. Talk about a twist of fate, as you see now. Ethereal Moon are on their back foot with a long way to go, opting to jump it off the map and let it reset here to give them some space to work with. But looks like the Wiper Deco, hey, I think be more supportive, but they are proving me wrong, as they're gonna keep on going.
I will say these Wiper Decos are definitely putting in the work. However, I will say there was a Wiper Deco as the only weapon left alive after that tragic Rainmaker pop, and they were unable to stop the Rainmaker. So at this point, I'm coping, to be honest, but the game is still going. We're going to see more Wiper Deco play.
We have 2 minutes of Wiper Deco gameplay. If they're trying to score more points, though, unfortunately, they will get stopped just short here. As we're going to see All Out playing some good defense, but Astro with a nice Suka, a falling shot, able to get 1. Clearing out space for Ethereal Moon. The Rainmakers going. Gonna get a couple points, 24 points to go here as Ethereal Moon are going to stop for now, but they're going to keep this bomb going. You see 3 members in there along with the 10, trying to go up the ramp here. They're going to go down here up this very, very vital circle here. Astro's going to be there, but not there for long enough. That will be a wipeout on the side of Ethereal Moon. So 90 seconds to go in this game. It is a 7-point game. And as you know, this is Rainmaker. That can switch in an instant.
It can. It's very easy to lose a lot of points very fast on this map, but it's ironically also incredibly difficult to restart a push once you get too far into the enemy spawn. We were able to see a very, very quick points racking up for Ethereal Moon, but they're going to have a very hard time converting that still into the lead.
Less than a minute to go. Saber lying in wait, able to find one, giving them some space to work with it, looking for another one, is able to get it and keeping the alive until the Ethereal Moon are again. They're knocking at the door of All Out. Saber with another one going down, giving Kiwi the space to work with, and the room they have to just go forward. 30 seconds remain in this game. The 10th is out. 2 members of All Out going down. Kiwi trying to go, but again, this choke point is going to be what's going to stop him. But Astro with the Zuka, with the tension, with the game. No, they're not.
No!
Just yet. Ryan shutting him down at 1 point remaining, but it's 10 seconds left in this game. If you're All Out, you have to go. Sorry for the pun. You have to go all out as much as you can, because you have to go as overtime has started with less than a minute to go left.
Oh my goodness, and we might be seeing it as right now this Tetra is putting in serious work, getting 2. That's assist on 3, and there's flanks happening from the 10, but so far this overtime is continuing. It's possible. We could see the incredible knockout. It's going to be a very tight spot going up that ramp. It's the moment of truth. There's a wall, there's a tent shield. This is absolutely nail-biting.
That... Ooh,
No! And in the end, it is the Wiper Deco. You know, it is still a Wiper. I do have to give it that.
Listen, irony is very, very cruel. You were talking smack on the Wiper Deco, and right there, it proved to be the game-clinching weapon that was needed by Ethereal Moon, as without that Wiper Deco surviving, I believe they had around like 70-ish damage on them, that would have just been the game. Like, that would have been split all out. So, by the skin of their teeth, Ethereal Moon will take a 3-0 win over All Out. So, very close there.
Multiple times in this game, we saw Wiper Directs just getting absolutely huge value, even without the torpedoes to force their way in or provide cover for themselves. These Wipers were absolutely Wiper gaming the hell up.
Listen,
tent gaming too, that was very good to see.
Yeah, shout out to Astra with the tent just being, especially on that last push there by All Out. I believe what happened is they got attention onto themselves, and that just allowed the team to focus more on the Rainmaker, but their two team members that go down there. But throughout that entire game, we saw how Tent really made a big difference, as just that Reinhardt shield that they had at their disposal just gave them so much space to work with, and just allowed them to get a lot more than they honestly should have gotten.
Yeah, especially with the wall that they were running with it, they were able to just get a very strong lockdown on any space that they had, and just keep forcing more and more and more out of the advantage that All Out was letting them have if they got picked or they backed up in the wrong way.
So very, very good from then, but we will take our next little break here, but don't go anywhere, because Original Message Deleted will be back after a very, very quick break. back to original message number 6. We have round 3 for you. I am Topic, joined once again by Crow. And for you today, we have, I believe, it's going to be Egg versus Shiv Strats. Both we've seen Shiv Strats before. Egg, new team, new strategies, new players. Let's see what they cook up for us. And speaking of the strategies, we have game 1, zones on Humpback Pump Track, but there are only 3 players. You need an Explosher, and you cannot play a shooter. So possibilities are so many.
Truly, on a map like Humpback Pump Track, the no shooters clause, I get it. I agree with it just generally, but I think that it's a little redundant. This map is so good for so many different kinds of unusual weapons, and to the point where it's one of those maps you might see a team have just a dedicated comp specifically for Humpback Pump Track. We've seen Dynamos come out here. We can see Tri-Sloshers. We might see Splatanas that do better around the angles, or some dualies that move around on these ridges, but I am excited to see what these teams pull out.
All I will say, I'm a bucket player. If I don't see a bucket, I'm going to riot. Well, there's gonna be X-Ball, but like double bucket works really well here. Like I can see Dreadringer, for of course Brave Slider, that's pretty good. I could see Carbon, you know, some shooters, that's also pretty good. But we're gonna see as both these teams are ready to go right away. As we see here, Luna Blaster, I believe Dapple Dualies and an Explo for one side, and a gun. We're gonna see a double machine, a double Slosher plus a Zinni. So very interesting comp from both teams.
It is, and we definitely seem to have a much more aggressive comp on the side of Shiv Strats. The Dapples and the Blaster are going to be pushing very hard into these more special focused comps on the other side, but it seems, oh my god, Egg is just cleaning up.
Yeah, that's the power of chip damage. You have the Explo plus that not Splosher, that machine kind of duo, that tandem just works really well together. And they're just coming out, getting one. Nice job. They're looking for even more, but Egg just proving a lot of dominance. The Julie's trying to go in. They're going to go down as well. 25 ticks remaining and counting. Plat is Egg's color for the most part. They're just chilling in mid. They're not going to do a whole lot to do. They got their drinks. They got their umbrellas. They got their books. They are just coasting along, and that will be it. 100-0. Very quick game, and Egg with a very dominant first game.
I mean, hey, Machine's fallen off from its peaks as one of the best weapons in the game, bar none, but you still can't sleep on it, especially on Humpback. And we did see that double bucket you were talking about.
Listen, bucket is cool. Bucket's very cool. It works. But yeah, like I said right there, like I said, just Explo in it of itself kind of not requires chip damage, but is very inclined to run chip damagey type weapons. And it just so happens Machine falls right into that. But you know what? If you're Shiv Strats, gotta put that behind you as we go to game number 2. New game, new mode, new restrictions. Let's get into it. It's going to be Splat Zones Mako Mart with, you need a custom Jet Sculpture, you need a Tri-Slosher, you need a Zinc Mini, and the last weapon has to be a Toxic Mist weapon. So, you know?
I will say, it seems that there's a slight misrepresentation on stream, because we are indeed going to tower control Mako Mart. So all of this Toxic Mist is going to be, I assume, draining the ink tanks of anyone trying to approach the tower.
I mean, especially at that second checkpoint where you are kind of at no man's land per se. You're in the freezer area. You just have to kind of fight through it the best that you can. So that can be very, very hard. Now, when it comes to that fourth option, first thought, double try slosher. Is it good?
It's a possibility.
Kinda. This is going to be Make a Mart, so Slosher does kind of thrive on it. I can see Dapples, yeah, Dapple Nouveau, another mini.
I would say a bit of a sleeper pick here. Rapid Blaster Pro, the vanilla one, does have Mist and a Vacuum, which will get rid of all the other mists and shuts down a lot of these other weapons on the comp pretty well, both with its vacuum and by outranging them. So if we got a confident Blasters player here, we might be able to see that coming out.
Yeah, you also got the Stamper Nouveau with the crab. That could be very, very helpful. You got the the Tri-Stringer with, being a Tri-Stringer be very good. But I don't know if they would want to do that with that double backliner because you do have the required Jet Squelcher. So that might kind of put a little bit of a stick, kind of stop their plans a little bit. And the only really other option is the recycled Brella. That weapon does exist. It does have mist.
Yeah, of all the maps, Splashdown's good on this map. You can put the Brella over the wall in some interesting spots. And, I think that's about all the things good to say about Recycled Brella.
Yeah, it is definitely an option. I will say that. But looking at the list that the teams have, I could see Stamper being used. Stamper, you have Crab set up on the stacks, have that be really well. Possibly the Rapid Blaster Pro. I think that could also be a very, very good option. But we're gonna see as both these teams are ready and ready to hop straight into it. As Shiv Strats are going to be opting for the Wellstring, and for Egg going over to the Rapid Blaster Deco for that Ink Pack. So very interesting from them here.
Yeah, so we are seeing both teams get a backline option as their final weapon, but the Rapid Blaster is going to be much more of an aggressive option here.
Yeah, you can see it right here. Just Egg using that Rapid Blaster, using that chip damage to their advantage, getting some space, especially around that snipe area, making sure that's cleared first before they go in, and doing such a good job of that. The Inkjet's going to come out as well, going for some damage, not quite able to get it, but unfortunately they left Tower kind of isolated, as not quite able to get to that first checkpoint as easy as they wanted, forcing it back a little bit, but you still see how much paint is in their color. The Jet Squad, they're trying to do there, but Toxic Mist will slow them down very, very much so. So Egg still has the advantage here and still able to go.
Yes, Egg really using the fact that this Nicomart in general is a very chip damage rewarding, very blaster focused map, and really, really taking advantage of all of the fighting opportunities that they're getting through having this blaster.
Yeah, they're able to break through that first checkpoint and slowly make their way towards the second one, which is going to be the biggest chokehold for either of these teams. But this Inkjet doing some damage, getting one, getting two, also putting in a lot of work here. So Egg just clearing as much of the path as he can for the tower. The flank by Shiv Strats is going to go down.
Goodness, as Shiv Strats continues to get staggered as Egg is just being an absolute dominant force here.
Yeah, and they're gonna keep on going. That third checkpoint's gonna fall. Shiv Strats needs to get to the tower, but they're not gonna be given any time to do so as Egg just breaks through that first tower and gets to the final checkpoint and will win. I believe that's 100-0. So shout out to Egg. Just a very, very dominant win there.
Yeah, back to back. Just 100-0 knockouts. We're going to be getting into Game 3 here very soon. We'll see if it's a continued trend, if they can make it a 3-fer. But now they've got a record to maintain.
Yeah, and for game number 3, we're going to go to Rainmaker Museum de Alfonsino, where, again, this is another one where your comp is kind of picked for you. You have the S-Class 91. I believe that is going to be the Booyah Bomb one. You have the L3D, which Hammer. It's useful on Rainmaker. You have the custom Dowser Dualies, which I believe that's the one with Whale. I want to say correctly.
It is the one with Tri-Strikes and Burst Bomb. What I'm seeing here, just off of the comp, is Burst Bomb, chip damage, Burst Bomb, chip damage, Burst Bomb, chip damage, and something with Auto Bomb.
Yeah,
I don't know what your mind goes to, but immediately I'm thinking Wellstring.
I could see that. Also, if you want that bit backliner, you have Hydra, right? That's an option. If you want to kind of go all in with this aggressive mindset, you have Tetras, you have the new Squiffer, you have go with this very aggressive style. You do have NZAP if you want to have that big, really big painter. So you have a lot of flexibility here with how you want to play.
Oh, another possibility to lean as far into chip damage as you could is just to pick up that Vanilla Blaster.
Yeah. Not the most conventional of weapons. I don't know if any players may have Hockey or something, but we're going to see here we hop straight into game number 3 for A, going over to the Carbon Roller, and for Shiv Strats going with that NZAP. So again, both these teams are kind of not forced to, but kind of encouraged to go very, very aggressive, kind of forced to go very, very in your face. Let's see if that's going to work for them.
I will say, the Vanilla Carbon Roller is not a popular weapon, and few people play it. But I have seen incredible things from it. It is truly a magnificent weapon. You simply decide that you are going to, at this beginning of the game, become the Bazooka and destroy the entire team. It is a glorious strategy to see work. And I am very excited to see this Vanilla Carbon Zcaster in action.
I mean, so far, Egg is using that to their advantage here, as they're going to very easily break through that first checkpoint. 3 members of Shiv Strats are going to go down to the opportunity is going to be there, but they're not quite quick enough to get to the Rainmaker to mid, giving Shiv Strats at least a little bit of relief here, but this Carbon is causing some damage, able to get one, but that does give Egg enough time to get the Rainmaker back onto Shiv Strats' plat, and again put that pressure onto them and make sure that they crash their presence.
Really just, unlike previous teams who really won by just out pressure. I don't even want to say that they aren't out-pressuring them, but Egg is just doing something different than some of the other teams we've seen. They have much more of a defensive hold. They're just able to move that defensive hold up so quickly and aggressively.
Yeah, like they always say, offense is the best defense. You don't have to be on your back foot if you keep your enemies unstable, and so far it's looking out just like that, as we are about halfway through this game, and Shiv Strats has yet to score. In fact, Egg's gonna keep on going. 25 minutes zaps remaining. The Hammer is fast.
Oh my god!
There it is, an Egg.
Oh my god.
After another very, very dominant game number 3, they will take the win. They will take the set in a sweep, and they just put pedal to the metal and did not stop for anybody.
3 knockouts back to back to back. it's not something that you see every day, even with, you know, it's not even something of your, you know, it's something that's so easy to lose in Rainmaker. If they're able to just pick it up, something that's totally reasonable to allow the other team to do while you're still in total control, suddenly, technically, your record's broken, but Egg has just locked them down so incredibly hard.
Hey Crow, do you watch any basketball at all? Just curious.
Very little, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, the best way I can describe it is that felt like watching the 90s Bulls. Now, if you don't know,
I do.
if you don't know, for those who don't know, the 1990, I believe 92 to 95 Bulls and 97 to 99 Bulls won 3 championships. They had three different three-peats. So that's what that felt like. With how dominant Egg was, it just felt like they had their game plan, they executed really well, and it just kept on going. So shout out to Egg. Unfortunately, Shift Strats just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. I mean, Shivstrats has been putting up good numbers. They won their first set. They had to buy the second set. But unfortunately, that does mean that their record is quite a bit tainted by just this singular set of 3 losses, which is really tragic considering the rest of their performance and clearly how strong of a team they can be.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that will be it for at least the group stage. So we will be moving on to our bracket next. But before we do that, we're going to take another very, very quick break. But don't go anywhere because Original Message Deleted will be back with some more intense Splatoon action coming up to you in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to Original Message Deleted number 6 bracket time. We're in our semifinals for you, and the match we have for you today is going to be After School Sweets Club versus Ethereal Moon. I am Topic, joined once again by Crow, and for our first matchup today, now, as you all know, this is a gimmick tournament, so they're supposed to be very strange, very wacky, very out of the ordinary type gimmicks. Our first game, Tower Control Sturgeon, and your required comp, you need a GooTuber. Okay, manageable. However, every other weapon needs to be a charger, so you need 4 chargers in total. Whoever came up with this map pool, I hope both sides of your pillow are warm tonight. That's all I have to say.
Oh my god. I mean, I don't know if that's possible. I think they might just be so cold they cool the bed down themselves.
No, it's possible.
It's possible. It is possible, because this is going to be an absolute snail's pace. Well, actually, I don't know. It could be snail's pace, or it could be a sweep as we get into this charger hell.
Yeah, we're gonna see both these teams, of course, opting for a ZF charger for the Strikes. One team, Ethereal Moon, opting for an E-Leader 4K. But again, both these teams kind of similar. They have the pencil for the cooler. They have the ZF for Strikes, but also you see that After School Sweets went for the Bamboo for that more aggressive side, while Ethereal Moon went for the E-Leader 4K for that more, that more, not passive, but that more safe side.
We're seeing some very exciting gameplay as people stand in mid and looking at mid. Both sides of the charger gameplay.
As right now we're just seeing some laser tag coming out here as After School Sweets can get the first chance to get some points on the board here. As you see, they're going all in actually. Nailgun able to get one for even more. Got member of Ethereal Moon running away. The first checkpoint not quite able to get broken just yet, but you see how far up they're gonna go and how quickly they're gonna get punished for that, as well as Tower is going straight back to mid. So After School Sweets have to go back for the Tower and maybe opportunity to get even more points on the board, but Ethereal Moon, as Chargers like to do, just say no.
We're seeing a lot of benefit from After School Sweets taking this Bamboo to force their way forward, but unfortunately, at some point they just get caught out in another charger's sightline. And at that point, they're too far forward. It's paradoxical, you can't move forward, but you gotta push.
Yeah, well, maybe these specials might be what they need, as just like that, 3 members of Ethereal Moon are going to go down here. After School Sweets are all far up. The second checkpoint, they're up towards the second checkpoint, and you can see After School Sweets are at their spawn. Just a little bit of spawn camping as like to do along with the Strikes, but unfortunately Tower will go down. So Ethereal Moon able to stop for just a second though, but not for long. After School Sweets are back on the Tower, 13 points remaining. Auroran able to get a very nice shot there, and that, I believe, will be the end of the push, as Ethereal Moon is able to stop it, but not after both checkpoints have been broken.
What we've just seen is maybe the most proactive charger gameplay ever recorded on camera. We're going to be hard-pressed to see another push getting all the way to 13. However, through the use of specials and fizzies and coolers, we might see Ethereal Moon pulling out. Maybe even a stronger push than After School Sweets, but they are not getting there currently.
I don't know, I think it's the difference of Nailgun on Bamboo, just having that aggressive front, even though, yes, it's not your standard aggressive weapon, just having that relative aggression is very, very helpful, as it allows your other frontliners, or frontliners, I can't even say that, your other front-facing weapons to kind of get into it, the ZF going in with the Strikes, able to get it, and that will do it. After School Sweets will take take us out of this misery as they're able to win the game and take a 1-0 lead here.
I forget the name of the Greek myth with Eurydice in it, but they marched out of hell and they did not look back this time, and we have escaped this Charger map. Charger Underworld has been conquered, and we are moving on to a slightly less evil comp.
Yeah, we're going to go to game number 2, Clan Blitz, Barnacle, and Dime. You know, really classic map mode, especially in comp Splatoon 2 or Splatoon 3. But your required comps, Splash Shot Nova, okay, that can work. You know, you have a very heavy painter, you have the whale, you have the mine, you have a very a presence of very painting heavy weapon. You have L3 also needed. You know, you have the curling bomb, you have the crab, very helpful there. But the restriction, both the other 2 weapons need to be 190p exactly. Now, what are those weapons? I have no idea.
I do know one of those.
Which is?
My beloved Splat Tana Wiper is a glorious 190p hammer. Unless they changed it while I wasn't looking, which would be embarrassing. But I believe we might see a Wiper coming out. There are some other very, very fun and good weapons that are in that 190p category. Unfortunately, a lot of mainstays for weapon pools, because they're good, just get hit with that small little 10-point special nerf. So we're going to be seeing some uncommon picks for sure, along with this uncommon crab pick. But honestly, it's not the worst start to a comp to have a crab weapon on Clan Blitz Barnacle.
I mean, yeah, it's very good for both offense and defense. You can sit on your plat to kind of, or sit on the enemy plat to kind of put some pressure. You can sit on your snipe to kind of get a good sense of where enemies are coming, whether it be through street, whether it be through mid, whether it be through plat. But we're going to see, as both these teams are going to hop right into it, as a Bloblobber and Octoburst back to school sweets, and from Ethereal Moon, a V-Charger and Dually, so doubling down on the crab, so double crab with vacuum, so very interesting from there. Actually, no, that's a block deco, so maybe with a vacuum piece of Master School Sweets.
We might be seeing it. I gotta say, I was not expecting the V-Dually pick. I main that weapon, and I do not believe, have a hard time believing in Splatoon 3 it is still 190p, but it seems that it is. Or at the very least, the game is playing out.
Yeah, it looks like After School Sweets are going to take that and use it to their advantage, actually. Getting the first score of the game, 77 points on the board, but Ethereal Moon is going to be able to stop them before they reach 60, which is very, very important for them, because you want to get towards or under that 60-point threshold on your first push here. So a minute has gone by in this game, and Ethereal Moon looking further away and looking for the opportunity. But I think them having this charger, it kind of does restrict them in how fast they can push up, because the backliner for Actual Sweets is going to be that Bloblobber. Ironic as they went right there, but it's going to be that more midliner weapon. But right now, it's working out very, very well in their favor, as even because they're able to get another break in the basket, but with no follow-up, that just gives Ethereal Moon another chance to work with.
Yeah, and Ethereal Moon, with their very good pick of Dualies, and this double crab comp, is a little bit shackled to this slow playstyle of double crab charger, which, even with these more off-meta stranger weapons like this blob, After School Sweets is not beholden to any sort of schedule. They're just going pedal to the metal the entire time.
Yeah, and so far they're using that to their advantage. The fact is they're trying to clear out some space, but a flank from Nail Gun there is able to get that back in before going down themselves. So I think it gives After School Sweets that time to work with the blob on the flank, though. No, something you don't see every day here. Able to not quite get a kill. Damage inventory of Ethereal Moon here. We're halfway through this game, and Ethereal Moon has on the outside of mid the entire time. They have been able to push up because of this aggressive play style. They've been pushed back and they've been held back for most of what we saw here.
And DC and Zipcaster coming in to punish this Charger. I don't know if they knew they could be picking it, but it is a great counter pick.
It is going to be a great counter pick, especially towards the double crab plus Charger. But unfortunately for Ethereal Moon, they are going to be pushed back to Warren. They're able to get a pick on one and looking for even more as we're under 2 minutes to go left in this game. Ethereal Moon trying to go in and Warren is going to lose that fight there. So once again, Ethereal Moon are on their back foot, popping the crab to try to keep something, try to salvage at least some good out of this. 96 to go left in this game, and right now, Ethereal Moon, they have to find a way to get multiple members of After School Sweets down and keep them down and keep build up that momentum.
Yeah, Ethereal Moon here is showing some serious signs of life for the entire game. Their crabs, their Charger are not letting After School Sweets get this stuff for free. But unfortunately, After School Sweets is just chipping and chipping away at this wall, putting more and more clams into this basket. And even as they do chip away, Ethereal Moon is not able to themselves chip away at After School Sweets. They're only holding down their forts.
Yeah, death by 1,000 cuts seems to be the motto that After School Sweets going after. These multiple small pushes just keeping Ethereal Moon off balance, off base, and so far it's been working out really well for them. 30 seconds remaining in this game. If you're Ethereal Moon, you have to go now. You are 57 points in the hole. You have to start doing something here. That's a good start. Members of After School Sweets are going to go down. The crab is going to be, Crag going to be popped, try to go for the ball. You're not quite able to get it. The dualies jump out of the way, but not fast enough, as one's gonna go down, two possibly going down. The fight is gonna be one. The Blobber is doing damage here. 10 seconds remaining for Ethereal Moon here. They have to go. They cannot second guess themselves. They have to continue to put on the aggressive face, but so far you see once again they're gonna be pushed back by the crab, pushed back by Aqua Brush, and just make sure they can't do anything. But no, the suction bomb off the crab will do it. Nail Gun with the finishing blow will be it, and that is all she wrote for Ethereal Moon. After School Sweets, a very, very dominant game number 2 there, will punch their ticket into finals.
Yeah, it sure will. We have just seen the Bloblobber, I want to say, almost championing this team. Many other weapons were able to take stronger fights, but this Blob was just able to keep the other team on the back foot the entire time, buying space, getting in when they really just simply were never, ever ready for the Blob. And honestly, how could you be?
I mean, yeah, I think the Blob not only served their anchor weapon, it also served as their biggest painter. You know, it had the Blob, the main weapon itself, just has so much painting ability that while it can't serve as your only painter, it can serve as your primary painter. And I think that's exactly what After School Sweets Club took advantage of. It just kept using that to their advantage. They just kept getting Ethereal Moon off balance, and so far that seems to be their game plan for every team, and it's been working out for them really well.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we really saw from After School Sweets was their ability to turn what could have been a single push that fizzled into a series of slamming and slamming against that brick wall and getting back set up in mid every time they popped a crab or got a pick with the charger that put a stop on that push. They were just consistent through the entire game.
Yep, consistency is key, and we'll see if they can keep that consistency in grand finals as they will go up against our number 1 seed Egg here. But before we do that, we're going to take a very quick break while these teams get set up. But don't go anywhere, because original message deleted number 6, our grand final, will be back to you in a few minutes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Finals of Original Message Deleted 6. We have an exciting best of 7 with probably, hopefully, not the most evil gimmicks we've seen tonight. Hopefully that Charger Sturgeon map was the peak of it, but I don't know, who can say?
I don't know. We're gonna have to see, but we've seen these two teams before. We've seen Egg and how dominant they were against Shiv Strats before. We just saw After School Sweets Club against Ethereal Moon, how they played. But now these two have to face each other as we go to game number 1, Ship Shape Cargo Co. on splat zones. And you know what? This one is the most reasonable I've seen so far. All you need a Dreadringer D, the one with Squid Beacon's Wavebreaker, and you need an H3D. But I believe that one is all bubble, I want to say.
It sure is. And you seem to see a double bucket comp off of one side, with a shot to round up on the side of After School Sweets.
On the side of A, opting for that 52 Gout Deco along with the Pencil 4, that of course the ever precious cooler, and so far it's gonna work out in Egg's favor as they're able to get a really good some points on the board here, plus the lead. But After School Sweets are not going out, the bubbles coming out as well to give them some space to work with. So far it's working out. Nail Gun, but the strikes are gonna come out here just clearing out a lot of space. One member of Egg is gonna go down there. So again, it's been very back and forth, very fight heavy as we start off this game.
I will say, it was a big decision for Egg to decide to run Pen here, to have that cooler. After School Sweets is not running that cooler, it's just going to be fighting and using more specials. But Egg believes that they're going to be able to keep these fights going and trading value for long enough that their cooler is going to make that value worth it.
Yeah, but so far, After School Sweets are doing what they can to keep Egg at bay, and so far, it's working out. Though After School Sweets will go 2 members down, so Egg got an opportunity here, along with the bubble for safety, getting Nail Gun down as well, so no counter strikes are imminent at the very moment, so they're able to get right back into the zone, get right back into control, and just continue to score and chip away at that score that After School Sweets has built up, forcing a member to jump out, looking for even more, and so far, Egg kind of doing what After School Sweets to them is a very good, very long, very consistent hold. But the problem is that the question becomes, can they lock out? Can they keep After School Sweets at bay for the entire time? But so far, that answer is no here.
I will say, this map is very good for lockouts. If you can get a good setup, you can just keep anyone from getting anyone close to mid. But After School Sweets is starting to break this hold just as Egg broke their hold on them in the same way, just using these specials in a smart way. And it seems like they're going to continue to have these specials and keep Egg on the back. Oh, punching the wall. We love to see it.
Yeah, and so far, After School Sweets are not going away. They're going to keep on going. 43 points remaining. Not that many points separating these two teams. Egg need to try to find their way in, getting 2 members down. After School Sweets is a good start there. Kamiko, along with the people, are going to try to force their way in there. They're going to try to paint the zone here. Unfortunately, they're going to go 2 members down. Egg there is going to still be there and still painting. After School Sweets is going to match them 1 for 1. Egg is finally able to recapture the zone and put some massive penalty onto After School Sweets, but we're less than 2 minutes to go in this game, and it's still very back and forth
here. It is. After School Sweets, I will say, holding that zone for an impressively long time, allowing them to build up their specials and keep themselves in mid, not being locked out nearly as hard as Egg was earlier, and even they were earlier. We might see a very quick zone flip, which we are seeing, it seems. Maybe? Oh my goodness, no we are not, as Egg, leveraging that massive amount of pain on their comp, just keeps After School Sweets from converting that specials, to converting the space into any sort of advantage on the zone.
Yeah, and just like that, Egg is in within striking distance of the lead as they're gonna points away, a minute to go left in this game. Egg gonna take the lead. After School Sweets has to do something here. Jousty able to get 1, looking for even more, able to get 2, 3, 2, but it's gonna be a second too late. If only they were a second or 2 faster with getting the Zuka or getting the picks or getting what they needed, as Egg will hold on and will take game 1 after a very back and forth affair.
I'll tell you what, this game 1, this excites me for the rest of the set. I think we're gonna see some very good games.
Yeah, I could see that. It was very very back and forth. I feel like both teams got a chance to get a really good hold. Both teams had a chance to show off what they could do, what they can do once they get a good enough hold here. But as we're gonna go to game number 2, which is going to be on Clam Blitz, Barnacle, and Dime, where the required weapons are a Splatana Wiper Deco. There it is once again. Your favorite weapon in the game.
There.
Yeah,
favorite
custom
weapon.
custom X-Flow with Splashdown. The Gluga Dooley's Deco, I believe that one his point sensor Zuka, I want to say. And for
It
your
sure
fourth
is.
weapon, it has to be a dually. So both teams have to run double dually here.
I love double dually comps. They are such a fun experience. Fortunately, they're quite hard to make work. You have to have some very good synergy, but it is a great time, and it looks like this is going to be a very, very fight-heavy match. We might see the Dapples come out on this one side of one of these teams if they think they want their cooler. However, that does require them to go double beacon, which is a very, very hard decision to make when you have the opportunity to have a bomb here.
Yeah, well, yeah, speaking of bombs, like the 3 weapons that the teams are required to run, there is no bomb. You have beacon, and I believe double point sensor. So
It would be splash wall and point sensor.
splash. Well, still, in effect, you have no bomb. So I think just having a bomb is kind of like that one it factor, I would say, why they would choose. And if they choose for after school sweets, they decide to go with the Dowler Dualies for the burst bomb for egg. However, going over to one we've seen before with the vanilla Dualies.
It seems that there was a bit of a miscommunication on the side of After School Sweets, as you did mention they have the Dowsers, but they also seemed to have a V Dualies. Nobody
Okay.
was holding on to those Glugas that were required. So we did see a double dually comp, but one of them was not quite the right dualies.
Right.
We should be seeing that resolved very quickly as the teams decide to finally reread the rules correctly this time.
Yes, as we mentioned once before in this stream, if you are playing in a tournament, please be sure to read the rules. They are very, very helpful. They are very informative. They help the TOs in the background make sure everything works smoothly. So it takes a little bit of time, but please, the rules are important. Thank you.
Yes, and also a lot of the fun of this tourney is with the specific restrictive comps and weapons that you're encouraged and forced to use. And I don't know, I think that's interesting enough to read and make sure you get right. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't want to be DQ'd. That's
I
important.
don't want to be DQ'd.
Yeah, but I think back to our little preview of what we saw from Egg there. I think having the the vanilla dualies is very helpful. Once again, Crab on Clam Blitz, Barnacle, very helpful. You can set up on plat, set up on mid, set up on the rail, set up on snipe. You can set up in these places where it can be very hard for the enemy team to remove you from, or you can set up in a spot where it can be very easy to play defense on, depending on which side you're on.
I would also say all of the rest of the comp has a little bit of struggle fighting on its own, and that Crab can really open fights up in a big way, and that's, I guess, why we're seeing it on both sides.
Yeah, they like the idea of Crab, so let's see. We're having a mirror match, which is very rare for Splatoon standards, but hey, let's see which team can play it better.
early missiles coming out on the side of Egg. No huge advantages yet. But it does seem that people are just trading specials back and forth, trying to find some sort of opening. And openings are being found.
Yeah, openings are going to be found by Egg first, getting 2 members of After School Suites down and looking for a way to go when they have enough clams to work with, but they don't have enough clams to get a really large sustained push, but that's a good start. 2 members again of After School Suites are going to go down, splashing them out from Rosa, able to get one around the pillow. Very unfortunate there, and Egg is going to keep on going. 53, 50 points remaining. I believe that might be all the points they have available to them at the moment in a safe spot here to the Blue Jays. Does have a couple more to work with. They are going to score them down to 41 points remaining and possibly going. Rosa staying alive thanks to the help of Atini. Very helpful there. And Egg,
that is huge.
Yeah, and Egg just breaking this game wide open as they're going to get a 59-point push on their first try.
It is absolutely huge that Rosa was able to live with that Explosher on their plaque for so long. A lot of teams, especially on Clan Blitz, would allow themselves to feed in at the end for those extra points and lose control of mid. But they didn't even lose control of the flat. This is a extremely tight grip that Egg has on this game, which is suddenly being broken up by that huge splashdown, my god.
Yeah, that splashdown really did save After School Suites a lot of damage, as you saw that Egg was there. They were prepared to get some points on the board here, but now it's like the After School Suites kind of reestablish themselves, get themselves back in mid, get themselves some control, and allow them to kind of get some opening. That's a good start there. The Ace is going to go from there to 1 member of After School Suites, looking for even more. That 2 members going to go down. The pathway is looking great for them. Tomoko trying to stay alive. They're going to go down as well, and After School Suites going to start the scoring as well, getting it down even more impressive in one push. 30 points remaining for them. 27, 24, 21. Looking for even more to see that Nail Gun has 2 points. That's already 18, 15, and that is an excellent push with even more to come. 3 or 9,
oh my
6.
god.
That might be it. But hey, they struck back, and they struck back hard. Now it's up for A to get an even better push than that.
Egg has been looking near invincible throughout a lot of these games, but we didn't just see them bleed, we saw them gush blood, my god. This is a huge push that, Egg is going to have to make up this lead, but they have the clams. They're going to have the ability to do it if they can just stabilize. And as I was talking, they counter-pushed fully to the knockout. As soon as it looked like there was a crack in their wall, they immediately punched back harder. Oh my god.
Listen. They had ice in their veins. They were not worried for a second. They're like, okay, I see you. I see how it is. And they struck back really hard. They got into position quickly. They knew that After School Suites Club, they had some time before, all the members came back, took full advantage of that, and just went. They put pedal to the metal. They went all gas, no brakes. They got up to especially that uninkable area, and they just went forward. And that really kind of showed that, hey, you can get a good push, but we can do even better than that.
Yeah, we may have seen them bleed, but we have not seen them stumble.
Yeah, and we're going to see if they can continue this momentum as we go to game number 3, Rainmaker on Scourge, where, these restrictions, not as bad. The Nautilus 47, which is the point sensor rain. You have a Dapple Nouveau, so you have that special with that Reciter, but the other two have to be 200p, which, if I recall correctly, that is the NZAP's cooler limit, or is it 210? It's one of the two. If it's 200, that's a good pick.
It is. It definitely is. If you can get on this map a 200p cooler pick, you're going to be having a much better time, especially with the potential aggressive plays of this Blapple and, to a lesser extent, this Nautilus, which can put out some serious aggressive potential, especially on this map.
Yeah, I think the Nautilus, in my opinion, it's a really good support weapon, right? It does have the capabilities of being aggressive, as seen with the other crit, the 79. But because the main weapon itself is very strong, but I think just the rain the rain and the weapon itself provides that consistency that a lot of teams are looking for. But we're gonna see After School Sweets going with an S-Blast, and yup, I was right. The gray end zap, and it looks like for Egg instead going for the 52 and the heavy edit. So the Splatling comp, so have both teams opted for a cooler weapon. So let's see which one is going to use theirs more effectively.
I'm going to say that heavy edit just recently 200p again is going to be putting in some serious work just holding down space, as this Nautilus, which was, as you said, very good at being a supportive weapon that just holds things down, is now a lot more free to play its aggressive positions.
Yeah, but unfortunately for them, Egg is not able to get any points on 40, so After School Sweets can just take it and run as far as they can, able to get 80 seconds on the board. They're looking for even more, kind of clear out some space by that first checkpoint, able to do it just as quickly as they're able to. Jousty with the reset, able to get right there thanks to some Reef Slider hitboxes that are very, very, very make sense. But we're gonna see what else they can do with that. Egg gonna be stumbling a little bit, but Reef Slider of their own to stop the Rainmaker in their track. Slider able to get the pick there. So now Egg has the opportunity to kind of reset themselves and get a good push going.
Reef Slider on this map specifically can really, really open up the game. I'm definitely looking forward to see how these teams are using those Reef Sliders to really start these fights, force these Rainmaker pushes, and just overall run the match.
We're going to see the Booyah Bomb able to at least stop them for a moment to give their team some chance to get in there. Fushi the Zap is not quite able to get a pick onto Rosa here, who's going to stay alive for a little bit longer. The Rainmaker timer is ever ticking. I believe it's around 25 seconds remaining to go on that time. They have to go. But After School Sweets making it as hard as possible. Jumpers are going to come in here. The Blaster is not even quite able to get a pick here, but the Rainmaker is about to explode. They gotta go now. 10 seconds going. Unfortunately, not quite able to get to the checkpoint just in time. So Egg able to again just very aggressively, very upfront, able to break that checkpoint.
Even after being stopped, they're just so hard to keep down. They're able to repop and just immediately start putting even more pressure in. And consistently keep pushing for more flanks. This might be it, as they're starting to back up. But even now, they're getting more picks. They might go for a bit of a funny Rainmaker thing. Unfortunately, they are stopped as After School Sweets picks it up themselves.
With 2 minutes to go left in this game, Rainmaker, it's not, no lead is safe until that Rainmaker is dunked in the final checkpoint. So even though this looks like a very, very big lead, it can go in an instant. So it's a matter of, can Egg hold on to this? Can they fend off After School Sweets? That's the real question here. That's a good start there. Ace getting one, looking to take some space away from After School Sweets. Rainmaker can pick up by Egg and Ace, along with the rest of the cavalry. On the path, but unfortunately the reset is able to say no you and just stop them in their track, but not for long. Rosa is still alive with the Rainmaker. He can keep on going. A minute 20 to go left in this game. Egg just painting the entire court of After School Suites in their beautiful, beautiful purple color, just making sure that they have nothing to work with, no space at all to work with, as Rosa is clearing out more space, giving some jumps into their team to go left in this game. If you're After School Suites, you have to get the Rainmaker down as soon as possible, but so far, Egg puts it as hard as possibly can.
I am wanting to believe that we're seeing an underdog story where After School Suites can come back after losing to Egg in the group stage and really show this unbeatable seeming team that they do have flaws, and they sure are, but they just can't break the team where it matters. They can't get that final push over the edge to get that secured win. Back and forth, they keep taking huge leads off of Egg just for Egg to come back and secure it even stronger.
Yeah, but now to enter overtime, if you're After School Suites, you have to be very, very careful about where the Rainmaker is. Swagger just say, hey, I'ma end this game. Watch now, check this out. And they will do it with one final shot from the Dapple, and Egg, after looking like you said, a little bit vulnerable, able to once again recollect themselves and win game number 3. Now, After School Suites clubs find themselves with their backs against the wall, where Egg, if they win one more game, they win the tourney.
I guess going into match point, the main question is, what kind of story is this? Are we seeing a Naruto big bad who's about to get reverse sweeped by this scrappy team, or are we just watching season 1 of Invincible?
I mean, listen, everyone loves a David and Goliath story, but Goliath, they're there for a reason. As we go to game number 4, which is going to be Power Control Undertow Spillway, where the requirement, you need the Thousand Dualies, the vanilla ones, but interestingly, it's going to be all dualies, so everyone needs a dualies. So I could expect possibly a Dapple dualies for cooler, maybe a Tetras for a bit of just flanking and distraction. We could possibly see another V dualies for Crab. There are a lot of different options that these teams can go here.
I will say, I will personally be very surprised if we don't see a V-Dualies on both teams. On tower control, on this map, a Suction Bomb and a Crab hold and lock down so much. And especially against what's going to be a very scrappy game for sure with so many dualies. Those kinds of tools might be what really makes or breaks the game.
Yeah, and if you are After School Suites Club, you have to find something that works for you, because if you don't, that's it. Your tourney is over. But we're going to see what they can come up with, going with the other Bowser dualies, the ones with strikes, the Tetras, and the V dualies for the side of Egg. A double V dualies plus an unparry. Very interesting from them there.
Yeah, they just seem to be going all in on the good weapon, which it's not a bad call necessarily. V-Dually is versatile. You can play it more supportively, you can play it more aggressively, and the end parry allows you for a V-Dually that can be very aggressive, but they do not have the versatility of the After School Suites comp here. However, it doesn't seem to matter, as the special cycling is just keeping After School Suites down. What?
What? Did
Not
someone
quite sure
did someone break the rules?
what happened.
Did someone break the
Someone
rules?
might have broken the rules. It's kind of unclear what's happening. As far as I saw, all of the teams were playing the required weapons. That Dowser Dualies. Oh, the required weapon was the Dowser Dualies FF.
Not the custom ones.
Not the custom ones. That might have been it. So we did see those strikes coming out pretty huge for Egg. But it did take a second for After School Sweets Club to notice and stop that match. It's just an unfortunate thing about these kinds of gimmick tourneys with rules about what weapons can be run, about what gear can be run, that once you get into a game, it's tough to notice that the other team, or even that your team, isn't following the rules.
Yes, and we once again emphasize, read the rules, please and thank you.
Read the rules.
Enough of that. We are hopping straight back into the game. You know, we saw that After School Sweets Club has an opportunity to possibly kind of learn from that little preview of game number 1 or game number 4. Sorry, see what happened, see what worked and what did not work. See if they can compromise or beat that. But so far, Egg just going all out once again. Unfortunately, for them, After School Sweets they're already prepared, so it will stop them in their tracks before anything really bad happens.
Yeah, we haven't seen those crabs really gaining their huge value yet, and as soon as they come out, they are getting responded with specials of After School Sweets Club's own. This is really a very different game to the one that we had just seen.
Yeah, very different indeed. Egg seems a bit more disorganized here. The After School Sweet team, like they're doing a lot better job of kind of surrounding and entrapping individual members of Egg and using that to their advantage here. As they're able to get to that first checkpoint, no problem. Hold to that second one. Looks like they're gonna try to break through that, but the whales and sliders will stop them for a moment here. But After School Sweets still within striking distance of getting that second checkpoint, not quite able to get it just yet, as they're gonna be forced off by Egg, and that will be the end of a push. But that's a pretty good push from After School Sweets here.
It is a pretty good push, but I have to say, on this map, like so many maps, breaking second check is huge. It's really huge, and it is a big deal that Egg was able to stop them before that check was broken. So we're gonna have to see how After School Sweets Club responds, and if they can return the favor by stopping Egg before they're able to break this check.
Good start there, Jousty getting ace down, so no member of Egg is by power, and After School Sweets kind of surrounded as quickly as they can. Go on, be aggressive here, Jousty trying to go in here. They're gonna to Rosa though, but After School Sweets putting on their aggressiveness, kind of try to get even more points on the board, kind of break through that second checkpoint. Not quite able to do it just yet, as Egg is starting to clamp down onto them and make sure that they cannot get any further.
We've seen some good pushes from After School Sweets Club, but with the way that Egg seems to be consistently pulling these games back, if they want to feel safe, they're going to need a great push. And unfortunately, Egg is just using their defensive value, their specials, the dodge rolls into just defensive positions to keep After School Sweets Club from getting that push they need to feel safe.
Yeah, and Egg did kind of shorten that gap, only 7.7 lead these two teams. So now, if you're After School Sweets, at least sweating a little bit here, knowing that Egg is within striking distance, they are close enough to get a good lead here. Gonna try to kind of clear out some members on this left-hand side, mainly Tomoko there, as you can see, trying to stay alive, trying to make sure be that disruptive force that they need. But a flank from Egg, yeah, members of After School Sweets Club is going to go down there. So once again, they're going to be stopped score before getting any more points. And again, 7 points separating these two teams with 9 seconds remaining.
Egg just consistently stopping before the second checkpoint, really requiring After School Sweets to work as hard as they possibly can to break it. And it seems like they might have an opportunity now. They've got some specials lined up. If they can just get them in the right places, this could be the push that pushes them past the checkpoint.
It looks like it, and it will be. So after School Sweets finally, after a third time's charm, able to break through that second checkpoint. So now, if you're Egg, you're 20 points behind, which is not that much if you break past that checkpoint. But the question is, can they break past that checkpoint? Indeed, as once again, After School Sweets Club is gonna be there, is gonna be able to kind of meet what Egg wants to do here, but can Egg break through? They have the splashdown, they're gonna have the double crab in a second there. Tomoko able to get one, keeping themselves alive. One member of After School will be left. They're gonna go down as well. So Egg able to break through that checkpoint. They have a crab at the ready. 15 seconds remaining. Swagger on tower, able to get one. Away towards that third checkpoint. Two members of Egg gonna go down. Two members of After School Club are gonna go down there. 7, 6, 5. The crab Alpha Rosa gonna play a bit of cover fire, and that will do it once again. Egg snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, and After School Sweets Club was right there, but the final push from Egg was too much for them to handle, and that will do it. Egg will win original message deleted number 6 in a sweep over After School Sweets Club.
I really thought after they got that checkpoint, after they had specials in overtime, they would have been able to take the game off of Egg, but once again, they cannot keep this team down.
Yeah, very unfortunate for After School Sweets Club, as Egg, hey, like I said, Goliath is there for a reason, so unfortunate there. But listen, don't hang your heads low, because you made it to finals. You put up a good fight, because those are really close games. I feel like if one or two things went the opposite way, that definitely could have been like maybe instead of 4-0, maybe 2-2 or like 3-1, or maybe we could see more games. But woulda, coulda, shoulda, as congratulations to Egg for winning the original message lead number 6.
I've got to say, original message deleted is really, I think, my favorite gimmick tourney. I really think it's a great time to play in, and I think, you know, congratulations, of course, to Egg for winning, but I think every team has, gotten to play in this tourney, and I think that is a good, let's call it winning enough.
But with that, we are gonna start winding down, and of course we have a little bit of housekeeping to do. So Crow, where can people find you?
Nowhere. I am a apparition. You'll see me around if you do.
Cool. For me personally, you can find me over on mainly Blue Sky, but Twitter as well at Topical2. Find me over on Discord at 2, where I'm mainly about posting about where I commentate next or whatever I feel like. But with that, that'll be it from us. Thank you to Kai for being our wonderful streamer. Thank you to all the staff making sure everything works, everything goes smoothly in the background. And with that, that's it from us. So have a good night.